Hey guys, it's David from Gigi's Fabric Shop, home to Juki and Janome Junkies, and in today's video we're going to show you some basic information on the Juki 1181 Industrial. We're going to show you how to wind the bobbin, how to thread the machine, how to change the needle on the machine, and we're going to go over some basic knowledge at the end of this video for the person that maybe just got this machine or is looking to get this machine and curious on what it takes and what it can do. So stick around and let's get to this video. So getting ready to wind your bobbin on a Juki 1181, first step is you're going to want to make sure you have the right thread that you're using on this machine. This machine takes Tex 45 all the way up to a Tex 135 thread. So once you got the proper thread on your machine, you can go ahead and put the spool on the left side. So something that's unique to the industrial machines is you can actually wind a bobbin while you're sewing. So there's two spots for your thread. This will usually be your bobbin winding side, and this will be the machine side that you're going to have the thread going to the actual machine. So once we put the thread on this little spool stand, I like to push it down so that way the thread doesn't get caught underneath here, because that can be kind of a headache at times and can cause your bobbin winder to not work. And you're just going to come up here through this little thread guide on the top. Once you come through that thread guide, you're going to pull it through and you're going to go straight down to the bobbin winding tension area. You're just going to go from the back side coming out towards this little tension disc, wrapping around that tension disc, and then going back through that little thread guide again. And then from there, we're going to go to the actual bobbin. So now you're going to grab your bobbin and you're going to go from the inside out, going through one of those little holes like that, and then you're going to pull your bobbin over to the little bobbin winder and just push that on nice and tight. Once you have that nice and tight, you can actually engage your bobbin winder. I go ahead and sew at a pretty quick speed, get it wrapped around there real nice and tight. And then once it's on there where I can let go of this thread and I know it's not going to come unraveled on the bobbin, I'll just snip this thread real nice and close to there. Now I can actually go back to sewing, and this will wind as I sew, and whenever it's done winding, it'll just go ahead and disengage. So as you can see, once the bobbin's wound, you'll see that it just disengages, and when you hit the gas pedal, your bobbin's no longer winding. If you want more thread on your bobbin, you can adjust that by just loosening this little flathead on top here and adjusting this little arm to your liking. If you want more, obviously, you're gonna back that little arm off, and you can kind of see where that arm lands and base it on where it should be ending your thread. So as you can see, this bobbin looks good. We'll go ahead and just remove this and throw it in the machine and start sewing. So installing the bobbin into the bobbin winder, you're gonna wanna make sure the thread is falling down on the right side, making a 9. So now that we have that falling down on the right side, we're just gonna drop that in, finding that little slot right there, pulling the thread over into that little groove, and voila, we have the bobbin inserted into the bobbin case. You can change your tension on the bobbin case by just adjusting this recessed flathead screw right here. Righties tighty, lefties loosey. Small amounts does a lot, so make sure that you're not turning that screw a ton. So let's go ahead and insert this bobbin. When you insert the bobbin, you're going to want to make sure this U is facing up, and I always like to insert it without using this little trap door. That way I can actually hear an audible click. If you don't hear an audible click, your bobbin case is not inserted into the hook of your machine fully, and you can cause a broken needle, or you could actually knock your machine out of timing. So let's go ahead and insert this into the hook of the machine. Remember, making sure that U is facing up. You're just going to push it right there. And you also want to make sure, one more thing, you want to make sure that tail is about 2 to 3 inches long, maybe even 4. And you're just going to hear that audible click. You also want to make sure that tail is not getting pushed in with the bobbin case. You want to be able to see it on the outside. So let's hear that click. Boom. That click is a very audible click, and then removing it, you're just going to use that little trap door just like that, but you also want to hear that click when you push it in. So one more click, boom, we know it's inserted properly. Now all we have to do is thread our machine and get ready to start sewing. So same thing as winding your bobbin, you're going to want to make sure your spool is pushed down all the way so that way thread doesn't wrap underneath it, and you're just going to go from the back to the front through this thread guide right here, and then we're going to work our way over to this thread guide right here. We're going to go back to front, and then come back and go back to front again. Boom, just like that. And now we're going to slowly work our way to the first little sub-tension knob. You're going to go through this thread guide from back to front, and then wrapping your thread around that tension disc. I like to make sure I floss it to make sure it's seated deep into that tension disc. So now that we've come out from this thread guide, we're going to wrap around this tension disc here, wrapping back all the way back around almost, and then catching that little spring right there. Then we're going to go underneath this thread guide, and then I like to click it into there, just like that. And then once I click this thread in, then I'll go ahead and pull this thread in that piece, that little thread guide as well. Then I'm going to bring up my take-up lever, and we're going to go in from the right side and out from the left side in that take-up lever. Boom. And then we're going through this thread guide. Boom. And then through these two little thread guides right here, which you can sometimes get both at once, just like that. And then for the needle, we're going to go from left to right through that eye, which is kind of hard to see. Boom. Alrighty, so now that we have the machine threaded, the bobbin inserted properly, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use my knee lifter located underneath the machine to lift up my foot all the way, grab my top thread, and rotate my hand wheel towards me, and just hold this little tail thread, and then you can kind of feel it just slowly start pulling on this top thread, and you can see the bobbin thread get pulled up by your top thread, and we're just going to go ahead and push both of those threads back like that. So now that we have the bobbin thread pulled up, we can actually lower that foot down. There's also a lever located on the top of the machine that you're going to want to lower as well if that is up. So this little lever is how you actually lift up your foot on this machine. You can lift it up like that, or you can lift it up with your knee and then lift it up like that, and it'll keep it up. But it doesn't lift it up all the way, so your knee will actually lift up your foot quite high. So use your knee lifter a lot on this machine. I usually don't use this all that much. And now we can start sewing. And a quick little hack too, if you don't want to have any little nesting when you first start sewing, you can actually pull up your bobbin thread through your material and then start sewing. But for right now, we'll just go ahead and sew with it just pulled up how it is right now. Our stitches are pretty big. We're gonna shrink those down a little bit. And then once I've finished stitching out, you're going to want to end with your take-up lever pretty much all the way up, and then you can pull both materials nice and smoothly out, snip those threads, and you can see the stitch quality on this machine is beautiful. This was just 2 layers of vinyl material, faux leather, and we're going to fold it over 4 times just to kind of show you what this machine's capable of and how it handles this kind of material. So you can see it went through that with ease, and we sewed through 4 layers of vinyl. The vinyl, we're going to go ahead and flip it over, so we're sewing 6 layers of vinyl, and since we're going up in the vinyl, we're also going to loosen up our presser foot pressure. So the presser foot pressure is this knob right here, and you're just going to want to loosen it to the left to make that presser foot pressure a little looser, and then there's a little lock collar you can tighten down so that doesn't move on its own. Another note is we are using Tech 70 and a size 21 needle. That's what this machine came with from the factory. This machine is timed for 18 to 22, and then of course you can always time it for a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, kind of just depending on what you're looking for. But from the factory, it's an 18 to a 22 size. So here's the stitch quality on 6 layers of vinyl, and we have it at a number 4, so we could definitely lengthen that up if we wanted the stitches to be a little bit longer, but it's sewed through 6 layers of vinyl like nothing. So we just kind of wanted to show you that real quick. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and show you how to change the needle on a Juki 1181, or in fact pretty much all industrials. The first thing I like to do is I like to have a pin or an extra needle with me and a flathead. Once you have that, you're going to locate the needle bar, which is the bar that the needle is inserted in, and find the black flathead screw located right here that I'm pointing with the needle. We're going to go ahead and crack that to the left just a little bit. You just want to crack it enough where the needle becomes loose and falls out. You don't want to over loosen it, because if you back it out all the way, then it just can be more of a pain. So I just like to barely break it loose, and then you're good to go. You're going to want to learn and understand what the scarf of the needle looks like. We'll see if we can get a good focus there. So you can see the needle has a little indentation into it, and that is the scarf of the needle. You want that scarf to always be facing to the right of the machine. So the scarf should be facing to the right of the machine, but also perfectly towards the sewer. So it should be perfectly level, facing towards you, and also the scarf should be facing to the right. Since this needle doesn't have a flat side on it, it's a perfectly round needle. It is a 135 by 17. This is an Organ 21 size needle. I like to use another needle. I'll insert the needle into the needle bar like so, and then what I'll do is I'll grab another needle or a pen and put that in through the eye of the needle, and I'll use that to rotate the scarf to my liking. Remember, it's supposed to face to the right of the machine and perfectly flush towards the sewer. So once I have that leveled out to the liking, I also want to make sure that my needle is pushed up all the way. By doing so, I can kind of pull it down and then push it up, and I can feel it really hit that top. You want to make sure it's pushed all the way to the top, and then I'll go ahead and hand tighten down this black screw again. You don't have to over torque it, you don't want to break it, you just want to tighten it down nice and tight, and that's it. Alrighty, and there you have it. Now we have the knowledge on how to wind the bobbin, thread the machine, insert the needle, and now we're just going to go over some information on this machine and kind of just recap what we talked about. So this machine's needle system is a DPX 17 or a 135 by 17. It takes the same needle as a Juki 1541S. It comes from the factory with a size 18 to 22 needle, and you can retime it so it would take a 12 to 14 or 23 to 24, but that would be, retiming the machine, so a technician would have to do that. The thread that you can use on this machine is Tex 45 all the way up to a Tex 135, so you can use some pretty thick threads to give you a really beautiful top stitch on your machine. Oiling this machine, there is an oil pump and a reservoir on this machine, so there's actually, or an oil pan, not a reservoir. So the pump just kind of slurps up the oil from the pan and feeds it throughout the machine, and then there's a few little spots you actually want to self-oil it yourself. If you guys want to learn about oiling the machine more in depth, we'll put a video link in the description of this video, and we'll kind of walk you through on how to oil this machine and do all the servicing. This machine is a great machine. It's like a step up from the 8700 Juki industrial sewing machine. As you can see, it kind of looks very similar to the 8700, except it has that walking foot up top to give you a little bit more versatility as far as sewing over more layers. You can really get away with sewing pliable leathers on this machine. It's a great machine for faux leathers, bag makers, somebody who's really not wanting to get up into super heavy duty leather but wants to be able to sew over a good amount of vinyls, canvas materials, some nice really pliable leathers, and still also be able to sew a little bit lighter materials such as like canvas, 2 layers of canvas, 4 layers of canvas, some denim sewing pants and stuff like that. We have a comparison video between this machine and the 1541S where we go over the differences between the two machines. So we'll put that in the description of this video. There's going to be a link for that. So if you want to kind of compare the two machines and see what fits you the best, that'll be in the description of this video. If you guys didn't already know this, we are JukiJunkies.com, a small mom and pop shop located just outside of Tampa, Florida. We take a lot of pride in our customer service. We have a ton of Juki products and accessories on our website. So if you're interested in sewing machines, parts, accessories, notions, threads, we got it on JukiJunkies.com. We ship pretty much the next day, so we're very, very quick. And if you guys have any questions or concerns on machines or parts, feel free to reach us at 813-661-9000 or check the description of this video for our contact information such as emails and phone numbers and the times that we're open, and we'll be happy to help you out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions, or if I missed anything that you have some questions on. Drop a like and subscribe, as we post every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we hope to hear from you in the comment section down below. Thank you guys, and I hope you have a great day.